Good day, everyone. At this moment of time, we are going to tackle about detective story. Detective story is a type of popular literature dealing with the step-by-step investigation and solution of a crime, usually murder. The traditional elements of the detective story. Number one, the seemingly perfect crime. The wrongly accused suspect at whom circumstantial evidence points. The bungling of dim-witted police, the greater powers of observation and superior mind of the detective, and the last, the startling and unexpected denouement, in which the detective reveals how the identity of the culprit was uncertain. There are some categories of crimes fiction. Number one, the whodunit, lock room mystery, cozy, the historical whodunit, Proof and Paradise, The Inverted Detective Story or How Catch Them, The American Hard-Boiled School, The Police Procedural, The Legal Thriller, The Caper Story, The Spy Novel, The Psychological Suspense Novel, and the last, The Criminal Novel, which is the novels told from the point of view of criminals such as The Godfather. Okay, the first detective story is The Murders in the Rue Morgue, written by Edgar Allan Poe, published in April 1841. It is a French detective, C. Auguste Dauphin. Wilkie Collins, The Moonstone, 1868. Wilkie Collins is the writer of The Moonstone. It is the remains one of the finest English detective novels and is generally considered as the first detective novel in the English language. The rose-loving sloth, Sergeant Cuff, was patterned after the real-life Inspector Witcher. Okay, as you can see in the image, the Moonstone, written by Wilkie Collins, it is the first detective novel in English language. Okay, let's move on to Sherlock Holmes, the greatest of all fictional detectives. The first appearance in Arthur, or later Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's novel, A Study in Scarlet, 1887. The Memoir of Sherlock Holmes, 1894, and The Hound of the Baskervilles, 1902. Okay, the prototypes, Dr. Joseph Bell, for whom Doyle had worked as a clerk at the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. Like Holmes, Bell was noted for drawing large conclusions from the smallest observations. Sir Henry Littlejohn, lecturer on forensic medicine and public health at the Royal College of Surgeons, is also cited as a source for Holmes. Littlejohn served as the police surgeon and medical officer of health to the city of Edinburgh, Scotland, providing for Doyle a link between medical investigation and the detection of crime. Okay, some facts from Sherlock Holmes. He studies chemistry at Cambridge, spends the 6 years following university working as a consulting detective, moves into 221B Baker Street to share the flat with Dr. John H. Watson. He retires to a bee farm on the Sussex Downs, where he takes up the hobby of beekeeping as his primary occupation, eventually producing a practical handbook of the bee culture, with some observation upon the segregation of the queen. His brother Mycroft, 7 years his senior, is a government official even more gifted than Sherlock in matters of observation and deduction, but lacking Sherlock drive and energy. Okay, the habit of Sherlock Holmes and his personality. Although in his methods of thought, he was the neatest and the most methodical of mankind. He keeps his cigars and the coal scuttle, his tobacco in the toe, and Persian slipper, and is an unanswered correspondence transfixed by a jackknife into the very century of his wooden mantelpiece. Thus, month after month, his papers accumulated until every corner of the room was tackled in the bundles of manuscript which were on no count to the burn, which could not be put away save by their honor. Okay, Sherlock Holmes, he is famous for his science and deduction, wearing his deerstalker and cape, smoking his pipe and using cocaine, love for forensics, poisons, and ciphers, home chemistry experiments, playing violin, and boxing. One quote often heard from Holmes: when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am your next reporter. I am Meckila Belnas and this is the continuation report of Detective Story. So our next topic, you will learn about the knowledge and skills in learning detective stories. So these are the knowledge you will learn about detective stories. First, the knowledge of literature, knowledge of philosophy, knowledge of astronomy, knowledge of politics, knowledge of botany, knowledge of geology, knowledge of chemistry, knowledge of anatomy, knowledge of sensual literature. Our next topic is all about authors and their stories. First, see J.K. Chesterton. Chesterton. And this is The Innocent of Father Brown. So, si Father Brown is a short, trampy Catholic priest, formerly cubhole in Essex, and now working in London with shapeless clothes and large umbrella and cunning insight about human event. So, amo na sa characteristic ni Father Brown sa story ni J.K. Chesterton. So, the next is the Hercule of Poirot in Agatha Christie's. Ang story naman is The Mysterious of Affair at Styles in 1920. So, ang detective na di is a Belgian detective nga famous sa iyang mustache kag Carmandice. So, next is the Miss Marple. Miss Marple, the murder at the murder, ang stories naman is about murder at the Vicarage, 1930. So, ang character na di is an elderly spinster who lives in the village of St. Mary, Mead, and act as a mature detective. So, ang next naman niya si Earl Stanley Gardner. Isulat niya ang Perry Mason. So, si Perry Mason is a defense attorney, criminal lawyer, nga gina-reveal ang mga crime sa court. Next is si Rex Stott. Rex Stott. Isulat niya ang Nero Wolf. Si Nero Wolf na di is a fat orchid rising detective with nga may ara assistant na si ngalangalan si Archie Windmill. Goodwin. Si Archie Goodwin is a assistant ni Nero Wolf. Next is Francis and Richard Lockridge. Sulat nila ang Mrs. and Mr. North. Si Mr. and Mrs. North is a couple marriage detective nagasolve sa crime sa ilang lugar. Next topic is the best detective in stories of 20th century. So may already 10 kabilog nga best detective stories. Ang ang author kag ang na famous nga story nila. So first is Sa 2000 si David Peace, meron siya story nga 1977, The Dam. Second is 2001, Dennis Lehan, Mystic River. Sulat niya ang Mystic River. 2002 is si Sarah Waters. Sulat niya ang Fingersmith. 2003, si Andrew Taylor. Sulat niya ang The American Boy. 2004, si Don Winslow. Don Winslow, isulat niya ang Power of the Dog. The Power of the Dog. 2005, sulat niya 2005, nagsikat si Cormac McCarthy. Ang isulat niya is No Country for Old Men. For Old Men. 2006, ang 2006, si Peter Temple. Ang iyang detective story is A Broken Shore. 2007, si Fred Vargas. His story is Wash This Blood Clean From My Hands. 2008, si Francis Dryfield. Sulat niya The Blood from the Stone. The Blood from the Stone. 2009, the last ang 2009, si Arnaldor Endridason. Arnold 2009, Arnold Endridason. Yes, iyang aging sulat is hypothermia. Hypothermia. So, ako na ang 10 best detective stories with the author. The next is the traditional elements of the detective stories are, which is ni ara siya nga 5. First is a seemingly perfect crime. The first is the seemingly perfect crime. Ang crime nga dapat nga mahimo mo is ang crime nga dapat mo ba lang ma-imagine nga sa story is dapat perfectong krimen. Next is the wrongly accused suspect at whom circumstantial evidence points. So, and of course, dapat ang may araman nga dapat nga paghinalaan ng suspect sa isa kasin na may natabo ng krimen nga may ara circumstantial evidence. So, next is a bungling of dim-witted police. Dapat may araman ng karakter ng police na ano ba lang nga wala kabalo about wala ba lang nabalaan sa natabo ng krimen. Fourth is the greater power. The fourth is the greater powers of observation and superior mind of detective. So, kung mahimo ka lang yung character dapat, character sa story, ang mahimo ka story. Dapat ang imo nga characters may greater powers of observation and power mind of the detective. So, dapat may power of observation ang isa ka detective para masolve niya ang isa ka krimen niya nga natabo. So, 5 is a startling and unexpected dominant and a startling startling and unexpected moment in which the detective reveals new life of an identity of the culprit has ascertained. So, sa last na traditional elements of the detective story, ang pagsugod sa unexpected nga pag-reveal sa detective sa isa ka suspect sa isa ka crime. So that's all about my report. Thank you for listening.